What's the deal with fucking Winston
What's the deal
Churchill?
with Winston Churchill? I don't know.
Why does everyone want to be him?
I don't know.
He's got the look.
Just so many, though.
Here's me pretending like we didn't
Never
just
done this before.
Well,
It's good for me though, because I just need repetition in my life.
well, no, not
Right,
that
to, like,
not that we
stick.
haven't. We're not re-recording this, but also that it's been a week since the last episode. I was gonna be like, Jess, what'd you do last week? Wink.
Still. Okay.
I just gleeked all
How's
over the
that
place.
going? You drink so much water.
Well, because of those fucking spindrifts, I don't want it.
I know, but that's so
So
good.
now I gotta do like regular ass, boring, basic,
I know, but it's so good because
regular
that's the best shit.
water.
Some high quality H2O.
I mean,
Your body's thanking you.
yeah, we'll
like,
see.
you know how like do you ever get swollen when you eat salt?
When I eat dairy and salt, yeah.
I feel like my hands are acting as if I've had Spam today.
Ooh, I love Spam.
I had Spam yesterday.
Oh,
That's why. Okay, it's all making sense. I'm not dying.
you went straight to I have Spam
I'm
hands
dead.
to I'm dead.
Yes, typically. That's a problem.
I've had Spam in so long. I fucking love Spam.
Oh my God.
But
We
it's
had
so
Spam fried
expensive
rice.
right now.
We just Costco'd it. We just belly
How much is
flopped.
it at Costco?
I don't fucking know too much. $23.
It's too much. The only reason that one should buy Spam is because it's cheap.
Yeah, it's not. There's and
It's too
Let
expensive.
me be very
to do-
clear.
to buy-
Rarely is it on sale,
Musubi's.
even.
No.
Rarely is it on sale.
I saw some. Where did I see some that I was like, should I
I
buy
feel like
this?
I feel like mainstream's catching on. Maybe
I think
they know people are gonna buy that shit.
They're like, these
Shelf life
people
is
want to
real.
make their Musubis,
Yeah,
and we're gonna charge them
we had a soccer
$5 per can.
Literally.
That's only 6 Musubis if you are going to go with appropriate ratio.
Okay, or unpopular opinion. I know you're gonna stab me from across the room. I don't think that the Spam needs to be that thick if the rice doesn't meet. If the rice doesn't meet it that thick. If the rice
No, there needs to be a proper ratio between the two.
right.
But if there's like no point if it's a thin little flimsy like
No bitch made
chub
Spam.
of- chub of a-
No bitch made Spam. No. But I'm thinking like I could go 1/2 inch of rice for a not a skinny Spam. Nobody likes a skinny Spam. I do like them crunchy and a little burnt. But
I like mine crunchy and burnt, but I like
for the Musubis, it needs to be not crunchy and burnt.
no.
Yeah.
I like not equal but close.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, the ratio for
Like the difference between 1/2 inch of rice, 1/2 inch.
that's an inch, by the way, what you're doing. So if you thought that was a 1/2 inch, you were wrong. That is a whole inch.
An inch of rice with like
I was saying
2/3 of an inch of Spam.
that's too much.
I know, because the ratio is good. You take a
I know.
smaller bite, and then it's supposed to last you longer. You're not supposed to just eat it in one sitting. Like it's
That's
a
the thing. I
snack.
feel like sometimes people be eating Spam Musubis that are just so disrespectful.
No, yeah, you don't eat it as a snack.
No.
it is. It's like it's
Save
a
it and
snack,
shit.
but like some people,
Enjoy it.
Some people be popping off on multiple musubis in one sitting, and that's too much musubi.
I typically do
That
pop
means
off
that you're-
on multiple Musubis.
That means that your rice to
Ain't
Spam ratio ain't it?
Yeah.
because you're not satiated.
That's probably I can typically do 2 of them.
I like to not even get through one. I like to eat half and then like save it for later.
Okay, no.
Sometimes I make them and we take them to Disneyland.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do. Okay, ABC
And it's
store out of
the
California.
It is like the best Disneyland snack. If anyone is wondering, what is the best snack for Disneyland that's going to
Don't
stay?
Google it.
Don't Google
Don't-
it. Just know now it's a Spam musubi.
Don't go any farther.
Yeah.
We have the solution. The only answer is
I don't know. There's got to be a place near there that like makes it, but I mean, if someone's traveling,
Okay, so like they can't make. Yeah, okay, privilege. L&L,
There's gotta be an
Yeah,
L.
there's a place. There's a Hawaiian spot.
There's got to be
somewhere.
a place nearby there. I think there is
But
an
that's
L&L
like you're
on
shaking the
Katella.
dice and rolling them because not all musubis are made the same.
I don't know. There's a lot of Asians in Anaheim.
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of Pacific Islanders.
Yeah.
Enough people with the skills to make a good musubi. Right?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I would say so. But I just like to, and
Who
again,
knows?
my privilege
Again, rolling
is
the
showing.
dice.
Yeah.
I
like to make my own
also like to make my own.
with the ratio that I like. We did also buy a Spam slicer.
A Spam slicer?
Yes, so that
No, but okay. But then you don't control your ratio. The slicer.
You know what you're
controls your
controlling
ratio.
is the rice.
No, you want it
The rice
fast.
needs to meet. No.
No.
The rice can meet it there. Like I can adjust
like to
accordingly.
cut my Spam. This is going to be the hot topic of
Yeah.
the year.
Okay.
I like to cut the Spam in half and then into thirds from there. So each one can gets me 6. And then I like to make it. Okay, do you remember
You
that
might be
one
a serial
time?
killer.
What?
Do you also pour your milk first?
I definitely don't
Okay,
even
'cause-
drink milk ever.
Oh yeah, duh. Do you like sock shoe?
What?
No, nobody cuts a Spam chunk because that's the only way to describe it.
Yeah.
In half first.
Not like directly in half. You take it out of the can
No, I know.
in half and then because then you know it's even because then the two sides are going to be the same. And then by the time you cut to your thirds, they're 6 equal slices.
Spam cutter.
This is the Spam. No, this is
Spam
the Spam
cutter.
can. I go.
You don't go
Cut it this way.
No, I don't cut it this way. That's what I
Cut
do.
it this way, right? Because I turn it on the side so it's easier. I cut it in half.
Uh-huh.
And
And
then,
then you chop, and then you go chop. I mean, there's probably, like, I get it. Now that
I mean, you've had my musubis.
yeah, and they're bomb. I will never complain about your musubis. Never.
So
I
who's the
just
serial killer?
feel like you might, who cuts it in the middle first?
When you
You
want
do.
to make 6 and you want it to be even, because I don't want to get overzealous on my like thickness on one side and then be
That's
like,
true.
oh no, I don't have any left on this side. This one's going to be really thin and this one's going to be really thick.
Yeah. No, we'll do go Spam slicer.
But how many slices are there?
Probably a lot. I mean, honestly, I'm going to say probably 8.
Mm.
Depending if you do it right, because you got to line up the end properly, or else
Yeah.
you're going to have like that really skinny. You don't want that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 8. And I think it's right. I think it's the right thing. They make musubi slicer or Spam slicers for the ratio. I'm assuming.
I think the ratio is wrong.
Well, there's something to be said
But,
about having literally just simplifying the process.
Different strokes, different Spam thicknesses for different folks.
I am also speaking to a Hawaiian. Somebody who has Hawaiian in their blood.
But
So,
preference is preference.
I digress.
It's Preference. You know what?
Who
some
am I to
lady-
tell you?
You know what some lady said to me this weekend? And I thought about it way longer than I should have. But she was like, I have that like the Malama Pono sticker on my
Yeah. Is it the keep the eye? No.
keep the Aina Ono.
Uh-huh.
And she sees it and she's like, where'd you get your Malama sticker? And I was like, I don't know, like 808.something.com or whatever.
Sure.
And then she was like, man, white girl.
Okay.
And she's like, oh man, I thought you would have said you got it in the islands. And I was like, no, I didn't. And she's like, oh yeah, I just moved from there. I lived there for 4 years. Do you even know what that means? It means
Oh
Yes.
my God.
She's
when
like,
somebody
it
starts
means-
it, do you even know what?
she's
Do you
like,
even?
it means the land is right. I was like,
Did you
fully
engage?
twitched. I went, I know. And then overthought about how rude I said, I know.
You should have hit her with a little bit more of an I know.
And then she said, what's your lineage?
you should have paused.
Are you Portuguese? I was like, what?
off.
I was like,
We go straight there, first of all.
I was just like, why are you guessing someone's
Random.
ethnicity?
Yeah.
It was so random. I mean, obviously, Portuguese people are beautiful.
beautiful. I'll take the compliment all day.
Yeah,
But
I'll take it as
who
a
goes
compliment.
straight there?
Who is just like guessing on people's ethnicity?
No. It's 2024. It's 2024. We don't need to be doing that shit.
And then I thought about it way too hard. I was like, man, I like gave that girl stank eye so hard.
Well deserved.
And she's like, yeah, I lived there for like 4 years.
Listen.
And, like, people don't know when I'm like, how is it? What it even means. I was like, yes, everybody fucking know it. We're in Southern California. You were not like, I don't know. I feel like even if you were in the Midwest and said, how's it? People would be like, good.
Good. Fine. Yeah. Like, oh, you think like you've got street cred because you've lived there for 4 years and you just say, how's it? Because you've been to Zippy's?
Like, You've been to Zippy's a couple times?
Yeah. It's a Denny's, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty good. But I'm just saying, it's fucking really good. It is really good. I'm not gonna lie. We go there every time.
We do go there every single time.
It's one of the stops that we have to make. It's like an obligatory stop. Never regret. 0 regrets.
I like how we started to talk shit on Zippy's, and then you're like, you can't even talk shit on
Hold on, I can't. It's too good. It's so good.
Yeah. Okay. So today we are talking about Louis DeWohl.
She's Jenna, by the way.
I am Jenna. I am not Louis DeWohl.
I am Jess.
And yeah, that was a hard transition, but I realized that it was like not almost 9:30, and I was like, fuck.
Okay.
So here we go, Louis DeWohl.
Thank you.
So I like to set the scene for this because this is the second time we've recorded it. And the first time we recorded it, I didn't necessarily love it. It worked out that the sound was trash, so we couldn't use it.
I 100% agree.
But I've been like trying to think about this a little bit more because I like to think of it as a very, and I know you don't know Wes Anderson movies, but I like to think of it as kind of like if Wes Anderson did kind of like an Indiana Jones type movie, because it has a lot to do with Nazi occultism.
Mm-hmm.
And like, because you've seen an Indiana Jones movie. Okay.
Give me Harrison Ford. See, they can meet you there.
Okay. You might be there. Yeah. So Nazi occultism is like this whole kind of like weird thing that happened that during World War II, there was so much belief that the Nazis were into the supernatural that they started like hiring people to like potentially fight against their supernatural beliefs.
So fucking crazy.
So that's kind of like where all those Indiana Jones come from. It's like this weird supernatural Nazi occultism. Anyway, Lajos Theodore Gaspar Adolf Wohl.
Shit.
Say
it 5 times fast.
I don't even know if that was correct the first time, but he was born January 23rd, 1903 in Berlin to a Hungarian father and Austrian mother who was of Jewish descent.
Oh, wow.
His father died when he was young, which put him and his mother in abject poverty, and this compelled Wohl to take a banking apprenticeship at the age of 17. After a few years, he was fired. Does not say why. And I don't think he was shady, but based on his career later as an astrologer and writer, I don't think and like a filmmaker, he didn't really have the disposition to be a banker. I think he was a little bit more freewheeling. But also, this is Germany in 1924, which is still in turmoil after the First World War. Hitler has just unsuccessfully tried to overthrow the German government 2 years prior and had just released the first volume of Mein Kampf, which is like his like shady-ass, weird-ass manifesto. I don't remember much about this time, like when I learned it in school.
Yeah.
I only know it through the lens of film history, which I'm sorry in advance.
Yeah.
You will all get that now.
Yeah.
So after his stint at the bank, he tried out a few more careers, including dress designing and film publicity work, but nothing quite stuck. And during this time, he was trying to make it as an author, but didn't find a ton of success. Like he wrote like a lot of novels, and some of those were made into films. But he didn't like make a lot of money. It wasn't like a really lucrative career.
Okay.
So again, very beginning of Nazi rise to power, and he's a poor, artistic Jewish man. So that's just like not shaping up well for him.
No. All of those things don't typically mean success.
Yeah.
Late
20s in Germany as a Jew, things are not
great for you.
No. So he also worked as a screenwriter. And in silent films, which do still need a screenwriter because they have like those little subtitle cards and they have to know what they're doing and what they're saying, even though no one can hear them. So that is a thing.
That is a thing.
But it's not very lucrative because back then it was all about like the directors and their vision. So like writers were like, might as well have been like
overlooked,
a production
like whatever.
assistant.
Yeah.
But
that's so crazy, by the way.
their German films in the 20s, though, popped off. So this was like the time to be in film in Germany. And some of the films are still super referenced today, specifically Metropolis by Fritz Lang, which is, I'm like, I used to have a bobblehead of this robot, Maria. Hold on. Metropolis. I have to show you. I'm sure you've seen it.
I know. I'm gonna Google.
You're Googling? So the design of this like crazy robot Maria, is the basis of the design for C-3PO from Star Wars.
This is looking real fucking scary.
What? It's dope.
I'm sure. Oh my God. I love she looks like Clara Bow.
Yes. So what's that movie that just came out? Poor Things? Have you ever seen the mashup? Have you ever seen the mashup between Metropolis and Poor Things?
No.
Oh, Poor Things grabbed a lot of things from Metropolis.
Okay, so it's the same vibe.
Yes. David Bowie's Diamond Dogs tour, ripped straight from the film. There, I guess, was the Apple Plus series in the works until the writer's strike happened. Whitney Houston's outfit in The Bodyguard, when she sings, I am a queen of the night. You know that song?
Yep. I do know the song.
And he pulls her off the stage and he carries her like a princess and it's like the front of the cover.
I can't see.
Anyways, that's
but
her
I
outfit.
do know.
There's the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which, have you seen The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent? You should watch it.
Would I like it?
Yes. It's got Pedro Pascal and Nicolas Cage. And Nicolas Cage is playing himself. And yes, it's so good.
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
And he keeps referencing Caligari.
Just the title.
And yeah, so good. Honestly, so if anyone, you can watch this like movie, I think it's on probably YouTube, but you can put like any like chill, like very like laid back beat to any of the movies and it's so dope to watch, especially a little bit stoned.
Ooh.
But even not stoned, super fun to watch.
Yeah. Because
it's just like kind of vibey. You could put like your own music over it and you could still like, that's what I used to do in college because I was so cool. Nosferatu, which is the first film adaptation of Dracula. So like these are like the most famous films of that time
era
period.
Right.
And they're all coming from Germany. Oh, also Nosferatu, the Bad Bunny just had. Have you ever seen that? God, what is it? Vaticano? The music video for Vaticano?
No.
It's
Bad Bunny, though?
Yeah, Bad Bunny. And it's basically Nosferatu. But Steve Buscemi is like the mad doctor. I don't know. So good. Another thing you should watch. Maybe not Nosferatu because that's not like my favorite, but the Bad Bunny music video is very good.
That is so funny.
Even though I don't speak Spanish. I don't know what he's saying, but I was like,
but you know what? Listen, music, if your music makes my head do things.
Yeah, it's great. So 1935, back to Louis DeWohl. Back in 1935, he's like, fuck Germany, fuck Nazis, and he immigrates to England. Changes his name to Louis DeWohl because it's a lot easier than his like 1,000 names. And he claimed that he fled because the Gestapo wanted him to do astrology work for them. But Dr. Felix J., who's a friend of Wohl's, said that he suspected that, and this is in quotes, non-Aryan work for press and film industry had been eliminated. Especially if he's a writer for silent films, that was probably like one of the first things to go.
Right. Again, and not really high on the totem pole in their face.
And like the beginning of the war, no films come out of Germany other than propaganda. Like they just like shut it down. And that friend, Dr. Felix J., was a great resource for how Wohl spent his time in his early years in England. And he wrote about his encounters with DeWohl in a 1998 article for a magazine called Traditional Astrologer, which I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of love it. So I read this article and it reads kind of like a Wes Anderson screenplay. And I know, again, you don't know, but other people will know.
I bet you, listen, I am among the few, I feel like. I know the name Wes Anderson. I don't know anything else beyond that. I think most people do.
Yeah. It reads so quaint and like so overly descriptive in a way that like his films are. And it kind of reads like the opening narration to the film, The Grand Budapest Hotel. And the way I imagine it, it's like Edward Norton is like narrating it. And then DeWohl is played by Bill Murray. And then Jason Schwartzman is just like maybe there. And it's just like maybe like a page boy or something. I don't know. Anyway, that is like my feeling, like where it's just like everything about it is a little bit awkward and like a little just like, I don't know, it's just a little bit weird, but it's like sweet, like a cute, like, I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Poor things.
No?
Wait.
I was relating. Poor Things was weird and awkward.
Okay, in a completely different way.
Sorry. I'm just trying to figure. Okay, I'm trying to get there. Okay.
Oh my God.
Edit it out.
Now I can't stop thinking of Poor Things, but directed by Wes Anderson.
Oh my God. Don't.
That would be so weird.
I know. Help me, Lord G. Where's Kendra? Where's Kendra? Kendra, help.
Anyway, so Dr. Felix J. may or may not be played by Edward Norton, in my mind, wrote that DeWohl lived in a hotel littered with books and papers in disarray, and a lot of his everyday items had a coat of arms engraved on them. And he was often dressed in a flowing robe or a silk dressing gown.
He fancy.
Jay says, quote, everything around him oozed Baroque or Rococo opulence. Think Marie Antoinette.
Yes.
This serving not only to impress the visitor, but most likely to generate in his own mind an illusion of grandeur.
Yeah, to make him feel himself.
He's like, it's like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
He's like, I am these silk robes.
You know that's right.
I only belong in this dressing gown. So DeWohl apparently also loved to dress in drag, so much so that Dr. J was once invited to play accordion in a charity concert by DeWohl, and then he danced along in drag and noted that he just looked so beautiful.
Get it.
I know.
Love.
At the time of their meeting, DeWohl was already writing books in English, but he played cards for money, which is how he supplemented his income. And he was
like a poker?
The poker, yes. And he was already claiming to be an astrologer. However, Jay, who was like an actual astrologer, kind of recognized like right off the bat that he was bullshitting. He was like,
he could sniff it out. He was like,
he's definitely a talker and like he's read enough to like work his way around it, but he also has like no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
Okay.
So by 1940,
which is only something that somebody who has experience can identify.
Yes.
Yeah.
So by 1940, he'd been casting horoscopes for people of interest to the military for 30 guineas per reading, which translates in today's dollars to about $2,400, which is
per reading,
which is fucking nuts. He's hustling. Yeah,
when I got my one reading, I did overpay her though, because not overpay her, but it was the right thing to do because she spent so much time with me. It was $100.
Yeah, could you imagine paying $2,400?
Fuck that.
Absolutely not. So he does all of these readings and he catches the attention of the Special Operations Executive, or the SOE. The SOE was the secret British organization set up by the one man that most cult leaders claim to be reincarnated as Winston Churchill.
I knew it. Winston Churchill.
The SOE was also known as Churchill's Secret Army, and its purpose was to conduct espionage, sabotage, and reconnaissance in countries that have been occupied in Europe during World War II. The SOE is what you think of when you think of espionage and like spies and like shit hidden in your shoe, or like those cyanide pills like as buttons and shit, because they were like all about making little gadgets, always about like concealing things.
Mm-hmm.
They were like super like
Swiss
James
Army
Bond.
knives.
Yes.
Yeah, like just like ugh,
like knives in your shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like things you don't even think that are like knives.
Yeah. Which I love.
Yeah, that's pretty.
And also they were a little unconventional for the time. Women made up a lot of the higher ranks and were like field agents and were like put in a lot of unorthodox and risky situations.
Strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Get it, women.
I appreciate.
Yeah.
MI5, the British Military Intelligence Service, hated DeWohl. Like, hated him. One officer described him as, quote, an exceedingly vain man with all the Germans' love of uniform and rank.
Because the lavish.
Yeah, and he was like prancing around in a uniform, and they were like, bitch, you didn't earn that. And I mean, they obviously didn't say that. They were probably like,
Biatch,
you did not deserve
thou done. Yeah.
such fine
ropery.
He was accused of being an imposter, seeking notoriety, and he was just generally not trusted by the higher-ups at MI5. But despite that, the SOE, especially SO2, which was their sabotage sector, made him a captain and gave him a uniform, which, again, MI5 loathed because he would strut about town in it. That was a direct quote. He would strut about town. That was my... I wish I see him doing what we look like right now. Strutting in place.
Just strutting with his ropery.
Dr. Felix J. said he met with DeWohl in 1940 and he had greatly improved his station in life, upgrading to a room at the Grosvenor House Hotel, which is, I guess, a really famous place that I didn't know about, and parading around in a full uniform with all the accessories and beautifully tailored greatcoat and a leather-covered cane. He was...
Leather-covered
cane.
I mean...
He said, quote, Lewis was like a boy who had just received his Christmas present. He stood up, he sat down, he stood up again, he walked around the room, he looked in a large mirror in silent adoration. He was just feeling himself. Like, he was
exactly what that feeling is.
But like, he was so proud of himself. He's probably like, dude, I was like in a really shitty situation and here I am in these fancy duds.
Enjoy this moment.
Yeah.
Honestly, do you remember opening Christmas presents and strutting?
Okay. No. What? Like you got clothes for Christmas that you loved? Like as a little kid?
Okay, so my parents never bought things throughout the year much. It was, whatever. They popped off on Christmas. I remember one year I got CK1.
Mm-hmm.
Husband got, brother got CKB and he was so mad because he wanted CK1.
Uh-huh.
And like I had like all like the bell-bottom jeans. Like my mom, she popped off.
Oh, I thought in my mind I was thinking like 5 or 6 and getting clothes and being like,
no.
And I was like, what kind of kid were you?
No.
You were like, yeah, you get those Oshkosh Bagar?
10, 11, 12. 10.
You got CK1 when you were like 11?
My parents, I'm telling you, we would
That would be like me buying Faye CK1 for Christmas. That's
I know.
Crazy.
I would literally, my parents write a list and my mom would just literally go off of, and she's always been that way. That's why she pops off so crazy with the kids. With the grandbabies.
Yeah.
She's always been that way. Like, she will literally get everything on the list. So crazy. So I know what it's like to just feel like $1 million and shred it and to feel good.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, look at all these
look at all these duds.
Yeah.
Look at all this new shit. All fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know.
It's a good time.
Good times. So Jay does note that for a Hungarian refugee from Berlin to a British Army captain is a huge jump in respectability and just how you're treated. And because he's like, doing it up, he's probably treated a little extra well. So Dr. J asked DeWohl, like, how did this happen? Did you have some sort of military experience no one knew about? And DeWohl was like, oh, it's because I know so much about Hitler's astrologers and like all of their methods. And the British really wanted him to read their minds and discover what advice they would give him. And Dr. J was like, bullshit.
Boo.
But okay, you do you.
Yeah, a bullshit.
So in reality, he was recruited by Sir Charles Hambo, which is a really cool name, who was running the SOE and was starting a black propaganda campaign to use against Germany. Black propaganda is a form of propaganda that creates the impression that it is created by those it's supposed to discredit.
Okay.
So it's usually meant to embarrass or discredit a government through misrepresentation. And so they wanted to use DeWohl as an informant because he was already casting horoscopes for people of interest in MI5.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, there was a rumor that Hitler was surrounded by fortune tellers and astrologers, which was actually untrue.
Okay.
Even though it persists, there was a new Indiana Jones movie, which I think still was like, or maybe it was like Russians now instead of, I don't know. Anyway, this is going to turn into an Indiana Jones podcast where I just talk about the historical basis for every movie.
All things.
Yeah. Anyway, so Hitler thought all of it was bullshit. DeWohl was accused of starting the rumors that he was surrounded by fortune tellers, but most likely he recognized that the rumors of benefit to him and perpetuating it.
Right.
So he probably was like, ooh, I hear this rumor. Yeah, he just was like, I'll get on that.
Or wave?
Yeah. Ride that train? No. Oh, which one?
Wave, I say.
Wave. Okay.
I think wave is more appropriate.
But train it is appropriate because World War II.
Yeah, actually, train. We'll go train.
Train. I don't know how big the waves are in England. I don't know.
I don't know if waves are waving.
Yeah. So supposedly, DeWohl convinced the SOE that he could use horoscopes to influence Hitler and his advisors. Some supporters said, quote, an attack against Hitler at a time when he knows that his aspects are bad will certainly find him prone to some amount of defeatism. To force his hand then would be to define an advantage for us. So in May 20, that would be weird, 1941, DeWohl was sent to the U.S. to contribute to astrological magazines and newspapers, which at the time were being used by astrologers favorable to Germany. He published many articles, gave many lectures and interviews. That summer, he spoke at the American Federation of Scientific Astrologers Convention in Cleveland and said that Hitler was operating under the advice of the best astrologers in Germany, and they were plotting to attack the U.S. sometime after the following spring when Saturn and Uranus
Thank you.
had entered into Gemini. He said America has always been subject to grave events when Uranus transits Gemini. He then went on to say that the U.S. could defeat Germany if it ended the war before them. This entire trip to the U.S. was to pressure Roosevelt into entering the war. And to, that information get to the Nazis. And the Nazis to then possibly start moving in a way to block the U.S. that looks threatening enough for the U.S. to enter.
It's so crazy the way that propaganda was used. It's all mindfuck.
It's like, it's like Inception. It's like, I'm going to get you to think that I'm going to do this so that you think I'm doing this.
And honestly, once we're past I'm going to make you think this so that this and then that, I'm lost. I'm not tracking.
Yes.
Much.
And to be fair, the impression that the Brits had of Americans at the time was that we were super gullible and we would just be like, yeah.
What the fuck is new?
Let's go to war. Well, I mean, it didn't work, I guess.
Yeah.
It didn't, but
I'm just saying.
I mean, we are a little gullible.
We are looking like a fool amongst the rest of the world.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
So he returned to England February of 1942. Sefton Delmer, which is another really cool name.
I love that name, Sefton.
I know. He was in charge of the black propaganda campaign. So he got him a fake document saying that DeWohl was now a captain in the British Army. DeWohl, per usual, would wear the uniform and strut around town. But Delmer Delmer was just like, everyone was like, get rid of this guy. He's useless. None of this is working. And Delmer was like, no, I want to keep him happy because he's in contact with Karl Ernst Kraft, who was a Swiss astrologer who was employed by Dr. Joseph Goebbels. Goebbels was a propagandist working for Hitler who was trying to extract prophecies from Nostradamus that were favorable to the Third Reich. So remember that whole like Nostradamus thing? Like in the 90s, everyone got all up on it again?
Yeah.
So back then, he was like, I
do.
think that we can use this to like win, I don't know, the Second World War. Nostradamus, for those who don't know, was a 16th century astrologer who is known for predicting wild shit. And his prophecies are super vague, meaning they're highly interpretive.
That's the thing, is that when something is highly interpretive, anybody can make it true, their own version of true.
Yeah.
And that's where I get all like, ah!
Yeah. And then like, I feel like Nostradamus, whenever I think of that, it's always like end of the world shit, right?
It is. It's like impending doom. I'm also thinking, nasty Nostradamus. It's like a hip hop song. I forget. Nasty Nos. And no to the beat is Nostradamus.
No, I don't know that song.
Please hold.
Do you think that I would even
No, you're not
know
hip.
that song?
You're not hip and you don't hop. You are hip. You just don't hop. I'll have to find it.
This is a side note, but Fritz Lang, the guy who directed Metropolis, before the war started, he made a very defamatory film towards the Nazis. He was like, fuck these Nazis. I made a film that was like
I'm choosing.
And so he makes it. So Joseph Goebbels, the black propaganda guy, or the propaganda guy, was like, so we're not going to let you put this out there, but we like you so much. Why don't you come work for us? And supposedly Fritz Lang was like, yeah, okay. And then like fled in the middle of the night on a train.
Fuck, said, I'm out of here.
He like bounced out of there. I think, I'm like, I think he went to France. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but that's what legend says. And that's the story he tells. But yeah. So Kraft was convinced that the prophecies were in Hitler's favor, and tens of thousands of pamphlets were circulated in different languages, like saying like Nostradamus says Hitler's going to win, blah, blah, blah.
Trying to get everybody to bid for Hitler.
Yes. And be like, look at this is all on our side. Kraft came to the attention.
This is the way it's supposed to be.
Yes, like it's prophesied. He's the chosen one.
Terrifying.
So Kraft came to the attention of Hitler and gave him even a private reading via one of his aides. Never actually met him.
Ew.
But it's his rise to prominence and proximity to Hitler that made DeWohl so valuable. Because they were like, oh, this guy's like pretty up there.
Yeah.
So
he's rubbing elbows with the people that we really need to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So DeWohl helped Delmer forge copies of Kraft's pamphlets and change the like what was said on the inside and help distribute them all over Europe. So basically all those pamphlets where he was like, Nostradamus predicted Hitler is the chosen one. They took all of those, made almost exact copies, but just changed the inside. So it was like not as great looking. And that was their like black pop propaganda campaign.
That is so crazy.
Delmer continued to employ him throughout the end of the war. During the war, he became increasingly religious. In 1953, I know this is where things
Religion
take a wild turn.
Yeah.
Because so far you're thinking, here's this like very flamboyant like drag queen who loves to
unapologetically himself.
Yeah, who like likes to strut around in fine robes and is an astrologer. So he becomes increasingly religious. He does marry a woman in 1953 named Ruth Magdalene Lorch.
Okay.
Who was a lady
the name
commander.
Magdalene is involved.
You know it's good. You know it's crazy.
I love it so.
She was a lady commander of the Order of Sepulchre, which makes him a knight. So he ends up becoming an actual fucking knight.
An actual knight.
An actual fucking knight.
Get it.
So then, in an even weirder turn, he goes back to writing, but only fictionalized biographies of Roman Catholic saints. So he went from popping off an astrology town to being like, you know what? I wonder what St. John's life was like.
Oh, God.
Out in them fields. I don't know what his deal was. I don't know if there's a St. John, I'm assuming.
I don't know if there was a field.
Or if there was a field. But neither did he. And he was just like,
about it, though.
I mean, I guess those skills translated. Just imagining lives.
He's got an imagination that goes beyond. And that's honestly
he's living in
imagination. That's what took him this far.
Yeah.
From being broke down banker.
He was a broke down, busted Jewish banker in Nazi Germany and became a knight. Full-on knight who was like, oh, I'm really religious and righteous now. You know what? I bet you that gave him more like, I'm better than everyone else.
Yes!
Because you know that he thrived on that shit.
He loved it. He like breathed it.
Yeah, he's love it. So he died in Switzerland in 1961. For many years, people doubted his role in the SOE, and a lot of people thought it was just like a rumor or that he was just bullshitting. But in 2008, his MI5 files were declassified, and it showed that he had indeed been hired by the Brits as an astrologer to thwart Hitler.
Bam.
And that's it. That was like kind of like palate cleanser number 2.
Yeah, I would say so because it's not like too much. Like there's no.
Next week we're going to get to murder. I'm joking. We're not.
Oh, I was like, red rum.
No, we're not.
Red rum. Red rum.
Everyone's probably like, where's the murder?
Right.
Where's the
like,
cult?
what is happening? They're like,
we want that sexual assault.
Ma'am, are you okay? We want that SA. We want them trigger warning.
We don't want to hear about an astrologer who thwarted Hitler with his weird pamphlets about Nostradamus.
Yeah.
And his robes.
Yeah.
His glorious, beautiful
I feel like
robes.
we should call this one, Why is Everybody Winston Churchill?
Why is everyone Winston Churchill?
Why? Just why?
What's the deal with fucking Winston Churchill?
What's the deal with Winston Churchill? I don't know.
Why does everyone want to be him?
I don't know.
He's got the look.
Just so many, though. Like, so many episodes we have referred to Winston Churchill.
I know.
Guy on the toilet. Winston Churchill.
Winston Churchill. There's so many. Wait, who else? Wait. This guy too. What's his face? Goodney Goodnesson.
Goodnesson.
Didn't he also have a thing for Winston Churchill?
I mean, at this point, everybody has
all
a thing for Winston. I mean,
everyone has a
one way or another,
Churchill.
Whether they say it out loud or not.
I mean, I think there will be a death next week if you guys really want to stick around, but
I feel like somebody needs to die.
What?
Like, not like shitty. Not like shitty.
We went from being like we're traumatized to like, I think
now
to balance this out,
but
someone really needs to die.
But I'm kind of ready for a little bit of death.
I do have that.
You guys, needed you to see Jenna's face. The way her eyes got big and she like did not even break eye contact with me. I do have that.
I do have it. It's in my notes, but we'll see.
I say it. Let's do it. 2 palate cleansers. That's really generous.
I know. Well, so originally this has been in my list. I did these notes back when we started the podcast.
Stop.
Yeah, but I couldn't figure out where to put it in,
like where it would fit.
But I think it's so fucking cool.
No, I think it is too.
Because like, why would have someone been like, you know what? Let's bring in this astrologer and see what we can do with him.
And try to thwart.
As like, like as a military strategy.
Uh-huh.
Why would
astrologer.
We do that? Yeah, why? And not even like a good one.
Yeah. Like mediocre, but like not even necessarily a
He would be, he's like Miss Cleo level.
He's Miss Cleo astrologer.
He's the Miss Cleo. He's like, call me now. I don't know how he sounds.
With his leather-covered cane and his ropes. And he's just,
He's just strutting his stuff. Being like, oh, I know all your drama.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
I can tell you. It's written in your stars with Uranus.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for honoring the right way to say that, by the way.
Uranus.
It was really hard for you. You said it and you made immediate like eye contact. I was like, oh yeah. Yep. I remember from the last time.
Someone's gonna have to like. There needs to be like a real astrologer who tells me how I need to say it.
I feel like can't we just ask?
We could ask Raquel.
Raquel, yeah. Who I do love so much.
I know. All right, guys. Thank you for listening.
Thanks.